As the gateway to the northeast, Guwahati's economy is largely agrarian, but it's fast finding new frontiers for growth. And to identify where the most promising opportunities lie in a new age Guwahati, we're here at the Leaders of Tomorrow's Springboard.
Good evening, everybody. We're just a 5-year-old bank. Our merger with IDFC and Capital First happened in 2018. Being a new age bank, we understand the pain points that new age companies of today are facing. So what is our approach? Our approach is to be a challenger bank. Basically, challenge the status quo. I'll just take a couple of examples how and what we are doing here. For example, whenever we take a loan, we give EMIs. That means every month we have to give interest to the bank. So we became the first bank. We said, if you're taking interest on a monthly basis, why not give monthly interest to our two people who are depositing money with us? Talking about, this was the savings part, talking about businesses. Typically an MSME will not be having treasury managers. So what we came up with, we said we would become your treasury manager. We came up with a product called FD Booster account, wherein typically we are saying we would offer you interest on your current account. Any amount over 2 lakhs would be swept into an FD and thereby giving you interest. We then looked at the credit card portion. When we talk about credit cards, typically interest rates are of 30 to 40%. That's about 3.5% per month that we're paying. We said, why should it be like that? If you have to roll over money, why should you be paying such a high interest rate? We decided to link your CIBIL with our credit card, thereby reducing your interest portion to 9% upwards. These are just a few examples how we've basically come in and we've said we want to disrupt the market. Even though we've basically reduced our revenue streams, if you look at our numbers, if we talk about our loan book has grown 25%. If we talk about our deposits have grown 44%. If we talk about our profits, our core operating profit has grown 39%. Our PAT has grown 61%. So we're ensuring we're not only keeping our motto, which is you first, customer first, but also ensuring that our stakeholders are also not losing out on anything. Now, coming to the startup ecosystem, if we talk about India as a startup ecosystem, we are the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world. If we talk about our DPIT registered companies, we're talking about 1 lakh companies already. If I talk about Assam, we're talking about 1,000 companies which are recognized startups in Assam. So what are we doing for the companies that are here? We said, how do we support this? We came up with 3 problem statements. First was a founder problem, which typically means raising capital, be it debt or equity. We as a bank, we are providing you with networking events. We've tied up with various venture capitalists who we will be happy to introduce you to, thereby supporting your need of equity. Coming to business needs, second problem which typically an entrepreneur faces is business needs. By business needs, it's how does one grow their business? How does one reduce their costs? If I talk about reducing your costs, we've come up with an account which is zero balance. We've come up with an account which is a zero cost account. That means there are no charges associated to it. Typically there are about 28 costs that have come across that typically banks charge you. We said just waive all of them. We will not be charging you. So the moment you open an account, you can be rest assured you don't have to have any costs, because right now, being a new entrepreneur, saving money is key. Going to the second need of business, how do we help you grow your business? We've come up with a unique platform called Beyond Banking, wherein we have listed various companies which you can use their services to grow your businesses. These are cloud space companies, these are CA companies whose support you can take, these are legal companies whose support you can take. So we've created an ecosystem of companies who would be there to support you. And mind you, majority of them would be available to you free of cost. Your third problem statement is your banking needs. We are a full service commercial bank. Any product that you wish, we would be happy to provide you. We are a highly tech-driven bank, so APIs, all sort of CMS solutions, FDIs, we are well capable of handling it. We offer to you at minimum costs. Thank you. That's all from my side.
To shed more light on what a new age Guwahati now looks like, I'm joined by a very special guest. Please join me in welcoming on stage, from the Assam Civil Service, Assistant Commissioner of Kamrup Metropolitan District, Guwahati, an officer on special duty with the Guwahati Jal Board. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Anurag Rudra.
Good evening, this distinguished house. I was a bit unnerved when I was asked to actually deliver a keynote, but then I thought, Guwahati is rising up to the occasion, so why shouldn't I? At one point of time, the single story for Assam was a story of desperation, perhaps, a story of backwardness, of conflict, and now sitting here today, we can definitely say that it is a story of hope, of resurgence, of identity, and of looking towards a new horizon where possibilities are limitless and capacities are endless. Insofar as Guwahati is concerned, I need not reiterate that Guwahati is undergoing perhaps one of the most momentous and most epic periods in its history, considering that we belong to a very ancient city. Across Guwahati, there is transformation, infrastructural growth happening at every corner. You see it, you have it. One example which I think we can take is the Guwahati Riverfront Development Project. For a very long time, we have not utilized, not harnessed the power of the Brahmaputra and the riverfront that we have. Considering the fact that the government is now going all engines on developing the riverfront as an integrated place where tourism, business, industry will all congregate, Guwahati is now looking to much better infrastructure than perhaps we had one point of now. Very recently, the government of Assam, under the able leadership and the dynamic vision of our Honorable Chief Minister, has unveiled the semiconductor policy. And Assam is now looking to target a 40,000 crore investment in the near future. As Suprateek rightly said, the unicorns of tomorrow perhaps will come from cities like Guwahati, from nooks and corners. And while we might not have a Silicon Valley, we might definitely have startup, enclaves happening across Guwahati. Recently, it's really a matter of encouragement that the central government has awarded the Assam as the leader category state in startup in states where the population is more than 1 crore. And this coming from a state where hydrocarbon and tea has been our core strengths. Now we are diversifying very strongly. From hydrocarbon and tea, we're moving into logistics, we're moving into software, we're moving into diverse disciplines. As recently as a week back, the Honorable Chief Minister spoke of developing culture as an industry. And recently Guwahati has witnessed a major event where we had a world record for Bihu. While that might sound purely in cultural terms as a great spectacle, I think Assam, considering its location, considering our culture, considering our history, and considering our rich tradition, can actually leverage culture as a very strong driver of growth and a very strong driver of development. An industry that is non-invasive and sustainable will definitely help us gain bigger dividends for the future. Guwahati Metropolitan Development Authority some days back has introduced and executed successfully the concept of transferable development rights. Now, as TDR comes in, Guwahati would be very well suited to take advantage of its natural location. We are strategically placed, and we have a brilliant new airport coming up that is going to have an integrated cargo complex, and we're looking to serve the needs of South Asia and beyond. We refer to Guwahati as the gateway to Northeast India. But I think as we transform, as we innovate, and as we go to greater stages of growth, Guwahati is going to transform itself from merely a gateway to an incubator. It is going to be the launch pad for not only Assam and for Northeast, but I believe what Honorable Prime Minister said, Assam and Northeast being the Ashta Lakshmi, Guwahati is certainly going to be the bright spot on the radar, which is going to drive and guide the economic growth of the nation. Thank you.
It's time for a short break, but our coverage of the Leaders of Tomorrow's Springboard in Guwahati, the gateway to the Northeast, continues on the other side. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our continued coverage of the Leaders of Tomorrow's Springboard here in the gateway to the Northeast, Guwahati. Here are all the highlights.
Please now join me in welcoming personal finance expert with Finvestguru Financial Services. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mridu Maloy Borah. Huge round of applause, please. Mridu, when it comes to matters of finance, I believe India has always been characterized as a nation of savers rather than a nation of investors. To what degree is that perception beginning to change, and does it in fact need to change?
Well, India has changed a lot. In fact, the traditional way of holding the assets have changed. Earlier it was a land building goal. With the expansion and of penetration of demat account holders across the landscape, people prefer to invest in assets which give them growth that can surpass the inflation first. Second is like for long-term wealth creation, and overall scenario have been changing, and it will change for better in a near point.
Well, Mridu, if there's one thing that the public perhaps doesn't prefer, it's open conversations around matters of money. I believe there's a lot of hesitation, even within the comfort of one's circle of friends and family, to discuss matters of money and personal finance. How can we do away with those hesitations, and where does it ultimately stem from?
I think the issue is very sensitive and has to be tackled in many ways. Like, there are various measures that can be taken so that finance is an easy topic of discussion at dining table. One of the measures can be like using the community to spread financial literacy. Government can step in. The media has a greater role to play, spreading financial awareness. Mutual fund Sahi Hai is one of the campaigning that has been aired for pretty long time. And overall, like the use of technology, one thing can be used very conveniently is like you can gamify this entire financial education.
Absolutely. And I believe that the education sometimes doesn't just apply to the youth, right? I think there are many adults out there that are seeking financial makeovers midlife, and if not, as they get more retirement ready, for sure. And gold and real estate have long been considered safe havens, right? Is that now a perception that you believe no longer applies? What might your take be?
Gold as an asset in a household are generally not valued, and so not accounted.
Right.
And as a financial planner, when I talk of asset allocation, gold, basically should not be more than 5 to 15%.
I'd love your take as a personal finance expert on what you consider to be some of the most commonly made mistakes when it comes to entrepreneurs and them perhaps blurring the lines between personal finance and corporate finance, or personal cash burn and corporate cash burn.
When I talk about entrepreneur, let me segregate within the first generation entrepreneur and the seasoned entrepreneur. The seasoned entrepreneurs are the one who does things by the books. And when I talk about, entrepreneur, the first generation entrepreneur, maybe he was a salaried job in his earlier after. Fine. So coming down to entrepreneurship is not a everybody's game. They normally make a lot of mistakes, like they combine the personal finance with their business. Okay, there are few entrepreneurs which I have met in my capacity as a financial planner who do not even have a current account.
Right.
Okay, and that sounds very funny. In fact, I said, how did you transact your business? Other things like they do not pay themselves well. So in case of any personal crisis, they take the money from their business account, and for that matter, they fall into trouble. Normally, they come to a personal finance or CA for only filing their ITRs. This practice has to be widened, and they should ideally go for guidance under a mentorship. Okay, and take the help so that that makes the day-to-day affairs quite easy to traveling.
Fair enough. And I believe there's also a lot of questions around what age and stage it makes sense to prioritize building your credit score, establishing a credit history, and what repercussions does delaying this have on your future aspirations?
Credit score 750 is an ideal number, right?
Right.
Okay. But do you have a credit score more than that? If you do not have a credit history, yes. We do have a credit score, and 850 is something in the upper lands. One of the major factors is like maintaining your credit score higher is like in a form of ratio. Your say stick to your credit limit to your balance, credit balance around 30. I mean 1/3 of it. Say suppose your credit card has a limit of 1 lakh. Do not spend more than say 30,000. Okay. These should be norms over a period of time. Other thing is like do not settle your bad loans for lesser amount.
Sure.
These have a black spot on your credit score. It has been always. Now, often it is seen like whenever you go for a bigger loan and something, you hurry to settle all your credit cards due that had been a bad record on your credit score. Other thing like try to pay your bills on time without a fail, and that also includes your EMIs, loans, and do not particularly. One of the factors that is always seen is like when you go for a higher credit loan, it make a big impact on your credit score. Like say suppose you want to buy a car, and very soon you also wanted to buy get a home loan. So these make a hit in your credit score very often. So please decide which one you need, and for that purpose, basically you should go for a long-term and short-term financial planning. This is very, very important for your credit score. Obviously, like you may forego the car for a good opportunity to buy a home. But your behavior, financial behavior might jeopardize all your dreams.
Absolutely, sir. And when it comes to financial behavior, I believe one of the leading pain points is that there is so much information overload in the market, right? Who do you listen to and to what extent, right? How might you guide someone who finds themselves in that position, simply lost on where to start?
First thing, segregate the sound from the noise. There is a lot of noise in the market.
Right.
Okay, what I mean by noise is that every Tom, Dick and Harry is a financial expert in the market, out there in the space. With the advent of internet and mobile, I find my clients saying that my so-and-so has advised me so-and-so fund to invest in. I say that, who is Mr. So-and-so?
Right.
No, he is just a primary school teacher. And he has interest in stock market. I said, is he qualified enough to give you advice? And well, you do. No, he take deep interest in the stock market. So there is a difference between, a lot of difference in the attitude of the people. Normally go to a doctor to pay the fees. They go to a lawyer to pay the fees, CA to comply for it, and financial planning come last. Only when they realize the need in a very greater aspect, like, long-term planning needs long-term vision, and to fulfill your aspirations, like your children marriage, and your educations, then your retirement, you actually need a lot of planning. Now, let me give you an example, like of my age. I am nearing 50. If my household expense is 70, and if I plan to retire at the age of 65, which is 15 years from now, my household expense would be somewhere close to 2.25 lakhs per month. And if I were to survive for next 20 years, I need a corpus of 3.2 crore at the time of my retirement. And how much should I invest? I should invest something close to 75,000 every month into an SIP.
Right.
That would generate ideally around 15% CAGR every month. That needs a lot of planning.
Well, sir, I think you've made the case for why it makes sense to seek the advice of a personal financial expert. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us, and huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mridu, sir.
Thank you.
Well, that brings our Leaders of Tomorrow's Springboard here in the gateway to the Northeast, Guwahati, to a close. I'm Pooja Jain signing off. We'll see you next time.